let's also take time to go down on the farm because we've been every day doing a daily deep dive into Phillies prospects, talking about who they are, giving you a little insight of some of their numbers, some of their projections. And this is something you don't have to feel weird about because, well, actually, maybe you do. I don't know. Because this one's pretty interesting. So our player for today that we're taking a look at, we've got Michael Mercado, 24-year-old.
Number 20 on the list.
Yes. And for Mercado, we saw the Phillies pick him up last year in November in a trade with Tampa Bay. A right-handed pitcher at 24 years old. He stands at 6'4", 205. His split time between AA, AAA in 2023. We've kind of seen him bounce around. 52 appearances. He's pitched for 62 innings. 4-3 record in that time. A 4.79 ERA and a 13.79 strikeout to innings ratio. 1.34 WHIP. And he was acquired, as I mentioned, by the Phillies in a trade back in November with the Rays. And the interesting thing about Mercado, drafted in the second round of 2017 by Tampa.
High second.
Then he tore his ulnar collateral ligament late 2018.
Tommy John.
Underwent Tommy John surgery 2019. Then the pandemic hit in 2020. We all know what happened in 2020 around the world around COVID-19. So he didn't pitch until 2021 professionally. So drafted in 2017 by Tampa, and it wasn't until 2021 that he threw his first pitch professionally. So because of that, I feel like he's a very interesting prospect and someone that, although we have some numbers on, you know, when you look at some of the projections and the reports on him, he's shown that he's very inconsistent. He throws pitches at a below average change for strikes. His velocity does come and go. You know, he's got a chance to be a starter. It's a lot of like potential. It's a lot of, you know, just throwing it out there, see what sticks type of reports, I feel like, for Mercado because of the fact he's had a crazy stretch of years before he even got to pitch professionally.
Yeah, these high school kids, it's always tough. And like you said, he missed the 2 years there because of Tommy John and the COVID season. So he's still oddly a kid that's, you know, been in these systems for 5 or 6 years, but you can say like hasn't really had those 5 or 6 years. So there's still upside. There's still intrigue with his stuff. You know, high school kid, as you said, 6'4". He's lanky. He projects to be fully grown. I guess he could still, to me, it feels like he could still grow, but he could get another inch or two, according to one scout's report. His top flight combinations, scouts say, of size, stuff, and feel have catapulted him. And this was coming out he was almost a first-round selection, in other words, as a high school arm out of Southern California,
Wild.
San Diego area. He committed to Stanford. He was a costly signing at $2.1 million. Lost those 2 years. The Phillies got him in that trade, as you mentioned, when they gave up Adam Leverett as well as cash considerations. They've selected him for the roster, leaving the team with 2 open spots for the 40-man bullpen last year. Struck out an excellent 35.5% of batters, but walked 13% and struggled with the home run ball in between AA and AAA last year. So we'll see. His stuff on the scout scale of the 20 to 80 scale mostly hovers around that 55 to 60 range. He's probably projected to be a bullpen arm, I would think, just because we'll find he hasn't really gotten stretched out a ton. He only did the 22 and a third innings last year. We'll see. Unknown, but there's definitely a reason why Dombrowski and them, you know, targeted this kid, maybe because of those 2 missed years and like the potential's there. So we'll see. Fangraphs has him as high as 16 on the prospect list. Some others who will not be named because apparently we can't do that have him much lower. So, you know, we'll see. He's definitely one that's probably a one to keep an eye on in spring training if he can help the club this year.
Yeah, Michael, we will see Mercado because he was, as you mentioned, a top player coming out of high school. He's top 50 in his class. He was climbing the ladder, and then, of course, injuries really slowed things down. And, Tyler, I know you've got some numbers that you want to share on Michael as well.
Yeah, so excuse me, the thing that probably, and Jamie, you talked about the home run rate, you know, in AA and AAA last year, 48.7% in AA, 50.5% in AAA. That's his fly ball rate. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher. Ground ball rate at 28 in AA, 28.2 in AA, 28 flat in AAA. For you guys, is there any concern considering the fact that he does struggle with the long ball and he is such an extreme fly ball pitcher? in a hitter-friendly ballpark like CBP,
Yeah.
there's some concern there.
Sure.
For me.
Yeah. But I guess, their thinking in getting him is he had, first round stuff out of high school. He's lost those 2 years. Maybe we can work with him and pull some of that magic, much like Jose or Hoffman. They've had a pretty good track record of these borderline major, minor, Tyler, you kind of called him a quad A guy.
He seems to be a quad A pitcher to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be fair, like the one guy that I was comparing him to, and I don't mean in stuff, but I mean like in what leverage kind of usage the Phillies would use him in last year was Dylan Covey. And Dylan Covey's numbers in LA were putrid, and we know that. And I think a lot of people
better here.
Right. And a lot of people look at his numbers the first 2 years, his first 2 professional years in 19 and 20, and he wasn't very good. And then he, started the year with the Dodgers last year. I think he got DFA'd, but I'll go back and double check. Comes to Philly, and people go, this guy sucks. And the reality of the situation was he posted a 3.7 last year. And, I mean, the whip was high and maybe danced out of some danger a little bit. But for the type of guy that he is, I feel like the Covey Mercado comparison in terms of like their usage heading into 24 would be similar should one make the team over the other.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch this kid. We'll see. I mean, there's a reason they traded for him. I think they were all going to cut Leverett because his eligibility was up. I think this is his last year. We'll see if they can turn him into something because they have had that pretty good track record of converting those quad A guys into useful pieces.